Welcome to this look at Farming Simulator 22, the announcement, what we know so far. There are some extrapolations we can make, and just a bit of a chat about it. I was away last week when this dropped, so this is a little bit late coming to the party, but there's some information here that might be interesting to various people. Now, it does say you want a new farming simulator, don't you? You're going to get it. Farming Simulator 22 will come to PC, Mac, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, PlayStation 4, Xbox One and Stadia this fall. The first thing that does is alleviate those fears straight off the bat. People were concerned that they held off waiting for the next-gen consoles to see what would happen with those, and then they're going to release it for next-gen only. That tells us very clearly, yes, it will be for next-gen consoles, but it is going to be available for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. I know there are a lot of problems at present with people being able to get hold of next-gen consoles, the availability and that kind of thing. So it's reassuring to know they're going to be catering for all, which is the first thing I think is an absolute result. It says, once again, the new game takes a big leap forward with new features and improvements as Giant Software grows with the series, and we will for the first time self-publish the new title. What we're going to do now is have a look at the trailer, the teaser trailer. It's only about 18 seconds long to get a glimpse of the new game. It doesn't actually tell us very much. The next piece of information we need to be aware of is, it says, prepare for new crops, new maps, new machines, new brands and more. It's getting snowy too. Now, we've already seen that from, obviously, the teaser trailer, but in the blog here it talks about seasons, so we know we're going to be getting that. The addition of seasonal cycles is also included, as well as other features to be announced soon. Now, that's fantastic. We know we're going to be getting seasons. Is that going to be, I mean, it's going to be base game. Will that be able to be turned on and off? That's a fairly big question because not everyone likes using seasons. Is it seasons as we know it now from Realismus modding? Are they on board? Is it going to be what we're used to with some changes added on, extended further, or is it going to be a completely different version of it? That's something we don't know. So it's great that we know we're getting it. In what form we're going to get it, time will tell as we move forward. It then goes on to say 2 new maps plus an updated Erlengrats map will allow for different kinds of farming operation. More than 400 machines and tools from more than 100 authentic agricultural brands, including new machine categories, will make agriculture, animal husbandry and forestry even more fun than ever. There's a lot to unwrap there. Because it also then goes on to say, actually, if you go onto the buying of the game for FS22, it goes on to talk about American and European maps. So where that says 2 new maps plus an updated Erlengrat is a European map. That was the bonus one we got with the Alpine Farming DLC. So at least we know now the 2 new maps, one of them will be an American map, one of them will be European. That's the extrapolation from the information that's been kind of put out in various different places. And we're going to have a look at that. I mean, we've kind of had a look at it, I think, as we went through the seasonal pictures, that you've got the red barn there, it's an American-style barn. That's an American map. It's not one, especially the sort of layout that I'm kind of familiar with from any maps at the moment. So I'm assuming that's from the new map, which is absolutely fantastic. Now, it says about new crops. It says about new machinery categories. Now, I'm assuming, again, there is a bit of assumption here, but a sort of relatively sensible extrapolation from that is that new crops potentially means new machinery to plant and harvest those crops. The thing we've had recently, which a lot of modders and map makers have done, which is absolutely fantastic, is add crops in, like onions and carrots and, you know, tomatoes and various different things. For console specifically, there's a lot more available with Maize Plus and all that kind of thing on PC. But for console specifically, I'm talking about. And obviously what they've done is utilised in-game harvesting and planting equipment. Now, the fact they're adding in new machine categories, again, makes me kind of think, if we're going to get new crops, along with those new crops, we're likely to get new machinery for planting and harvesting of those particular crops. I could be wrong, but I wouldn't have thought so. I mean, based upon the information we've been given. Now, as far as new machinery goes, they've also given us some pictures of some of the new machinery that's coming out. The first of those being the New Holland CH770. Now, this involves crossover harvesting. I've done a bit of looking around at the new machinery available from a lot of these companies. And what it's also showing us is we're going to be getting the newer versions of machinery, which again you'd expect for a new game. You want to have the new machinery. The New Holland combines have offered both areas for harvesting. It has the twin rotor separation technology in the CR series and the large diameter threshing drums of the conventional combines. The crossover harvesting combines both of those together in one harvester, which is what we've got a picture of in front of us. It's supposed to be an increased throughput and all that kind of thing. The model they have available in the real world is 9,300 litres, and it does also say on the New Holland website that the CH models create a new segment between the mid-range conventional and the flagship rotary, so the CR models. So this is not a top-end, massive 15,000, 18,000, 20,000 litre harvester. It puts it somewhere in the middle. But it does show that we are going to be getting some of the new range. Next on from that is the Massey Ferguson. Now, the Massey Ferguson shown is the 8S265 in the picture. That has just won Tractor of the Year 2021. It has award-winning technology. It heads up the 8S series, which includes 4 models from 205 horsepower up to 265 horsepower. So it kind of gives us an idea of what we're likely to get in that particular range of the Massey Fergusons. Again, it's the newer models, the newer things we're going to be getting with it. In the real world, that one is set apart by the fact it's got a new thing called Protect You design. 24 centimetre space separating the engine from the cab, which insulates it from noise, heat and vibration. You can kind of see on the picture the cab is very upright on that when you look at it, very straight up at the front. I'm pretty sure when I was at Agritechnica, I'm pretty sure I sat in the mock-up of that, thinking about that now. Next picture they have also put up is for the Fendt Katana 650. New generation of forage harvesters. Now, we haven't had a Fendt forage harvester before. We've got Fendt in the game, but not forage harvesters. Has a new crop flow system. It's more powerful, balanced grip, higher engine capacity, larger horsepower. It's supposed to do better cutting, better throughput. I think something like 21% more flow capacity, all that kind of thing. Now, is it going to harvest in the way that we're kind of used to? Probably. It's a forage harvester, but it's good again to see that we're getting some different vehicles from different brands, ones that we haven't necessarily seen from that brand before. What I like about some of these pictures as well is looking at the actual crops. It looks like the crop textures have changed a little bit. It also looks like the debris on the ground, we're getting some different textures on the ground too, with regard to what's been left behind, residue and that kind of thing. So obviously, we're hoping and looking that with the next evolution of the game, we want to see a step forward in that. Now, I know a lot of people are hoping for all sorts of soil changes and all that kind of thing. Nothing has been announced yet about that. The last of the pictures, actually not the last, because there's one I want to show about the cows as well, but we have got the John Deere 9R series. The John Deere 9R series tractors are fairly large. Now, we have the tracked version at the moment if you've got the Boar Go DLC. So it's good to see that with the base game, we are going to get a 9R. You won't have to get a DLC to get it. This one is not the 9RX, it's the 9R, which is the wheeled version. Are we going to get a tracked version with that? Will it have the option to have various different things? Possibly, but that's just showing us a picture. Now, that does look like a US version. Looking at the road behind on that picture, there's the yellow markings across the middle of the road, which looks more like a US map to me than a European map. And normally the EU tractors have the hazard squares on them, the white and red. So it looks like a US spec version, which is nice. We're going to be getting a few different ones. I know they kind of are more EU-centric and have been in the past, simply because they're based in Germany and Switzerland, so they're going to be. That is putting a Vederstat cultivator, but again, the stubble and stuff on there, it looks like we've got a bit of an improvement in the textures and things that are being shown. Now, the other picture I wanted to show, and this is one I've done. I've been trying to do a little bit of looking around on this, and it's the picture for the cows. Now, if anybody knows, help me out on this. I know this is me supposed to be telling you what we're getting you. Now, in the background, we've got a cow. It's got a very silvery grey kind of look to it. Now, that's not the Brahmans, because the Brahmans have got like the hump on the back. And then over to the right, there's a similar type of cow. Looks more kind of Jersey-ish, but again with a kind of almost a sheen to it. I've been looking all over the internet trying to find pictures to work out what particular breed of cow that is. But it is potentially, we are going to see some new breeds maybe in the base game. If Seasons is involved in some capacity, we should be looking at animal husbandry in a slightly different way as well. Again, will it be turn off and honourable? Hopefully. Now, on from that, it does say, in short, Farming Simulator 22 will offer more depth thanks to a big variety of new additions and more freedom than ever before. I don't know if that means freedom for the company, because they're not with Focus Home Interactive, because they're publishing themselves, or Focus for us. I'm not too sure. So, Farming Simulator 22 is based on the Giants Engine 9. It comes with a variety of improvements like a more realistic AI behaviour. We'll see. They've said that in every incarnation, and the AI, as we probably all know, can be a bit hit and miss. And richer worlds with graduated reverberation of motors, gear selection, and tonal variations depending on the load. The sound shifts towards more realism, just to give you an example. Now, that does say gear selection. It's talking about sound, so I'm taking from that they've been working on their sound system for the vehicles. Now, a lot of people weren't happy that the change between 17 to 19, we kind of lost something. The sounds didn't seem quite right, although Giants did put out a video when FS19 was coming out of the sound guys out with Fent getting the actual engine noises. Now, this is kind of telling us, again, they've gone a little bit further with reverberation of motors. Now, it says gear selection. I don't know whether they're talking about the fact we're going to have the ability to change gear ourselves, or we're just going to get the gear change sounds. I think because it's talking about sound there, I'm thinking more we're going to get the gear selection sounds rather than actually gear shifting. But again, we don't know. We'll see. Then it goes on to talk about performance. Now, this is an area that I am not an expert on, but I'll read out what it says. That's going to improve too. DirectX 12 support for Windows, multi-threading optimization, texture streaming, occlusion culling, and temporal anti-aliasing, amongst other optimizations, will give Farming Simulator 22 a boost on all systems, laying the foundation for even more complex mod customization and even pushing the limits of last-gen consoles to enjoy with improved slot usage. Now, again, that sounds fantastic. Everyone wants better slot usage on console. Now, are they going to still have slots on the next gen? Don't know, but it's saying that last gen consoles will have improved slot usage. So potentially that could just be the optimization of mods, which means they're using less RAM space, less file space, which means you can have more, so you can potentially have more. Are they just going to increase the RAM space, the allotted what you've got, so potentially you can have more anyway? But that is good news for last-gen consoles, and I would say for next-gen consoles as well. If they improve slot usage and slot capacity, that's great. If they get rid of it on next-gen consoles, that would be even better. Only time will tell on that, but that's good to know. It then goes on to say, more features will be announced as soon as we're ready to share at the proper time. Stay tuned until we unveil new elements in the coming weeks and months, and I think that's something I'm going to try and keep up with. So as new stuff comes out, I'll probably do videos explaining about what's been released, what they're telling us, what extra information has been given. Are we going to see Fact Sheet Fridays again? Are we going to see stuff weekly or monthly? I would say potentially monthly, maybe. And as we get closer to release, then we tend to get the weekly things. They start teasing about what manufacturers and what machinery is coming with those and that kind of thing. But it does say follow us on social media and don't miss out on the latest news. They're on Discord, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube and TikTok. Interestingly enough. So that's what we know. There's quite a bit of stuff there to digest, and I was quite surprised at how much information they actually kind of gave out with that initial release. The teaser trailer didn't tell us very much, other than the fact we were going to get seasons of some description. There wasn't a lot of information about vehicles or scenery or anything like that. It's a teaser. It's supposed to be that first thing of, okay, we're finally getting it. There is some talk about should it have still been FS21. That historical thing of odd numbers were platform releases in so much as games systems, and the even numbers were mobile device versions. That historically had been the case. When they skipped through and said they weren't going to release one last year, then the question was raised, well, we are actually in 2021, so could it still be called FS21? My wife made a very good point on this, MrSealyp, and she said, well, the thing about it is, if you do that and the game releases at the end of 2021, as it moves into 2022, people will look at the game title and think, oh, that's an old version, and potentially won't buy it. By calling it FS22, it gives it that longevity to move forward. So I can see why they've gone down that route. It kind of throws out of whack what we've got used to, but there's no problem with that. We can kind of get our heads around it. But anyway, that's it from me. I hope you found this useful and informative in some way, shape or form. I will keep you posted as to anything that happens as we move forward, whether it be on Facebook, whether it be on Twitter, whether it be on more videos, but I will keep you posted. If you have found this useful and informative, please give us a like. If you don't subscribe yet, please do. If you want to leave a comment, feel free. And if you want to share this video, then of course, please be my guest, whatever you should choose to do. As always, thanks for watching.